Can I ask you a question?
The Bolton Ink Effect.
Hello folks, and welcome back to the Bolton Ink Effect podcast, where I'm your host, Louis Bolton. And it's been a busy week for me. I've had quite a few guests on the show, but today particularly I have someone who I'm very honored to have on the podcast. She is an incredible human being with a depth of knowledge that beats mine hands down. She is a very well-connected, adventurous, brilliant photographer, and it's none other than Rachel Hadfield. Welcome to the studio.
Wow, what an intro. Happy to be here.
It's well-deserved, Rach. It's
Thank
well-deserved because I have been following you for a while, and I love what you do. Your photographs and everything about you just smacks of like doing what you love with passion, and I love that.
Thank
but
you.
I have a question. We were supposed to do this earlier in the week,
Yeah.
and something happened, and I was so like looking forward to it, and you didn't rock up.
Yeah, sorry about that. I stood you up.
You stood me up,
yeah,
Rach. What happened?
Well, I'm going to blame the long weekend,
Yes.
but a bit of a funny story. I was sleeping, and I didn't put my bike lives in the living room, and it just hangs on the wall. But when I put it back up the night before, it must not have gone on properly, because at 1 a.m. I just heard this like huge sound. And my daughter woke up and she's like, what smashed? And I'm like, I don't know. So we kind of like snuck out into the living room. I mean, I don't know what we're going to do.
Yeah.
We were like just full of adrenaline, ready to confront some intruder in my house. And luckily, straight away, I saw the bike on the floor. And also, it didn't damage the floor or the bike, which is the biggest bonus. But
That's the most important part, eh?
it definitely took me a while to get back to sleep after that. So,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
I need a dog.
All right, you need a dog. Well,
need a
you're
dog.
forgiven. You're here now. You're
Yeah.
forgiven. So
yes.
I'm glad everything was all right and there wasn't an intruder and that
Yes,
the bike was
indeed.
fine.
So thanks for having me back.
It's my pleasure. Rach, there's so much to actually speak about. I mean, essentially, you are a creator. You are a photographer. You're a filmmaker. You're a creative director. You're a mom. And the world that you operate in is as an exciting one, but it's also a hard one. So my invitation for this conversation with you is to talk about obviously the highs, but also the behind the scenes kind of stuff that happens on a day-to-day basis when you're actually shooting and filming and sitting in an edit suite trying to, make those photographs look perfect for the clients and that. So one of the first questions I've got is that you started with a 35mm point and shoot very young, like at age 8.
You've read my website. I love it. Good
I
research.
have. I've done the research.
Yeah.
I've done the research. But like most photographers talk about their like first serious camera.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to know of what you actually remember that you used to take photos of at that age.
So my earliest memories of a camera was my dad used to always have his camera sitting on his drawers. And I just remember as a young person always being quite intrigued by that. So when I was a little bit older, they got me, I don't even know what it was, just like a plasticky point and shoot sort of situation. But I used to make little cute bags for it. And I would, everywhere I went, the camera would come with me. And I remember sort of taking weird abstract photos of things at the park and probably seagulls at the beach and all sorts of rubbish. I don't have any of those photos, which is probably not a bad thing. But I just remember the camera was always a part of my life.
Okay.
My dad was a photographer, but not in the professional sense. He just loved taking photos. And
So what did he do for a living then?
So my dad, he actually used to sell photocopiers. He had a photocopy franchise business, but he's the creative in our family. My mum isn't as much of a creative. She's just like a beautiful human. She's now a social worker, and she was a pharmacist in her previous career. So I think I definitely got that from Dad.
Okay, so did you, through growing up, and like you say, your dad was a creative one, or the photography for him was like a hobby. How did you find like nurture that aspect, or was it something that you were just always interested in?
I just think they just let me run with whatever I was into, and that just happened to be cameras. And that's something I try and do with my kids. As much as I'd love my daughters to ride bikes, they're just not that into it. So I like to just let people, let them bring out their own personality. And my parents, they did that to me.
It's a tough one. I mean, my daughter, she's 15, and as a parent, it's a privilege to be a parent because it's the biggest mirror and life rebounding off another person, reflecting your own inequalities or inabilities. But it's sometimes, I find you're right. I can't push, I call her Miss 15, I can't push her into anything that I didn't do. I've got to nurture that, whatever she has that's shining through. And it must be a similar thing for yourself going, I just need to support, just be there.
Yeah.
For your kids, just like your parents were for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you found that kind of creative spark and you enjoyed taking photos.
Yeah.
Fast forward to like today where you run like 3 completely separate Instagram accounts. Okay, you've got, and they're very different genres of work. And a lot of photographers, they try and have like one cohesive brand, or they say you must niche down into one sort of brand. Why have you deliberately kept them apart? And has this ever cost you in any area?
I still think the advice to niche down is a good one.
Do you? Okay.
I do. However, I mean, I'm 14 years deep in this career. And my wedding, so I have a wedding business, and then I have an action sports business, and then I have this sort of like third space that I'm not really sure exactly where to go with it. It started as my place to share my film photography because that was something I really loved. There was a time in my career where I thought I was going to be a fashion film photographer, but I very quickly realized that that wasn't actually an industry I wanted to work in. And it was better to keep that as my hobby. And it still is something I really love doing.
So does that, okay, so you've got, like you say, you've got the mountain bike stuff, you've got the fashion, well, the stuff that keeps you kind of interested in what you're doing.
Yeah.
How do you, I mean, like, just the film side of things, you started in film. I don't know much about film. My first camera, I actually won in a contest, and it was a film camera.
Yeah.
And I had to go and buy the film, and you do it, and you realize very quickly that you've got to be pretty on point with what you're doing. So you learn about your craft. You actually learn about what it means to actually take a good photograph rather than digital, which is just like click, 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 click.
Yeah.
So the marriage between like having film and then digital with that third space, that must be quite sacred to you then.
Yeah, I just think I actually still enjoy all aspects of my job, but for me, film is, like, I love the result. I love the slowing down and the consideration of the whole process. I know this is all very cliche, but it is really a lovely process. And I think it's good for anybody that shoots stills to understand that process. And it really makes you consider light in a much different way. Film renders light. I mean, film handles bright sun better than, I think, better than digital can. But yeah, it's just, it is, I guess it's sacred to me, but I think it's just more like my time because there's never generally a client when I'm shooting film, so that's just for me.
So you will shoot, so most of your clients that you shoot for, you shoot digital, you won't necessarily shoot film? Or
occasionally I throw
case
it
by
in.
case.
Yeah, with weddings, sometimes I do a bit of a hybrid job where I'm doing some film and some digital, but generally it's just digital in the work sense for me. How
did you get into like obviously, you've had an amazing career, but like, when did you know that this was a business? When did you know that you were not going to work a 9 to 5?
So it's quite funny. I kind of fell into this, and I don't think this is a normal story. I won't go too deep into this story, but I was working in the Philippines with my mum. I took some photos of these kids playing on the street. I put them on Facebook, and this girl was like, "Oh, would you like to shoot a wedding?" And I'm like, "Oh, a wedding? Okay." And I literally shot one wedding and then booked 6. And then I was just almost overnight, that became my job. At that time, I had an online sort of art and design store. And within about 6 months, I had realized, oh, hang on, this has taken over that. So I went all in on my photography business. And then the same sort of happened when I started to shoot sports. Most of my career, I loved bikes, but I had never mixed the two together.
Right.
And
so they were two separate
very
entities.
separate. And to be honest, I was kind of scared of sports photography. I was used to shoot. The fastest subject I would shoot was a bride walking towards me. So
very different to to a mountain biker coming over a ramp, hey? Yep.
Absolutely. Like it's a slightly different skill set, and I was just don't want to touch it. And then I was asked to enter Deep Summer, which is the Crankworks competition, and somehow won that, which was very unexpected to everyone involved. And then again, like by accident, I sort of become a sports photographer. So my career's sort of taken some interesting turns, but I'm really happy where it is now. And also, even from this is only 3.5 years I've been shooting bikes. So I am a baby in that industry. Like, I acknowledge that. But even in that amount of time, I've got heaps of clarity on where I want to go and what I don't want to do. And it's this year is, for me, it's all about trying to refine my process and who I work with, and just basically making my whole life suited to what I want to do, which is I want to do really good projects, but I also want to spend time with my family. And I just want to ride my bike as well, which I kind of lost this last 6 months. So
okay,
yeah.
But Rach, I'm curious to know how they came about it. I mean, you've done the work. Is there a lot of, and forgive me for saying this or asking this, but is there a lot of like manifestation or planning or I know you said like you fell into it because you took the pictures and someone saw it, and then the wedding business kind of like was there and that's what you followed. But now, and then you wanted to keep the mountain biking separate from the photography. Yeah. You've got a successful business, and I know it takes a lot of work. How does that come about? How for myself, like, how do I get that going? Does that make sense?
Yeah, as much as I am a strategic thinker, that is generally guided by opportunities that present itself, and I sort of just run with it.
Okay.
But if I was giving advice to you or anyone listening, I would, if you're like me and you get a lot of ideas, because my brain it is always active. I'm always thinking about new things I could be doing. I mean, my first step is, if that's you, and that's not everyone, luckily, have a little ideas pen in your brain where you really just mull things over before you talk to people, before you write them down. Just like have them in, like, I call it my like ideas pen, and I sort of sit on them for a while. And then if I decide that one needs to be let out of that holding phase, then talk to the people you care about, that you trust. Okay. And then once you decide that, okay, I want to be a sports photographer, for example, I mean, just you could write down a whole steps of what you need to do, but just start at the bottom. Obviously, the most obvious is learn your camera like
inside and out.
Like it's your cell phone. Like 100%. You know everything about it. All that information is available online for free. Obviously you need to be discerning with where you learn that from. And then I guess start to talk to people in that industry and sort of gain information from them on how they got in. But ultimately, for me, everything good in my career has come from relationships I've created. And I don't do it, how do I say this? I don't do it in I'm not trying to meet people to climb a ladder. Like, I just genuinely enjoy, meeting people, creating relationships, and from that, good things happen.
But also recognizing the opportunities when they put in front of you and running with it, as you said.
But also recognizing what's a dead end, I think.
Okay. Yeah, it's a very important part of it, isn't it?
I think, and like film is a prime example for me. So this is just before COVID. I was really keen. I had a cute little 70s A-frame. My friend Steph and I, Steph, we were shooting weekly we would just either approach girls on the street or our friends, say, hey, you want to come shoot with us? This is our theme.
I remember the A-frame.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So we were shooting film, and I was just loving every minute. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be a film photographer. I want to shoot international campaigns. I did do a few really fun jobs. Like, I did one for Wrangler. I did some stuff that I'm really proud of, but I realized to make that a full-time thing for me, I would have to work in places I didn't really want to work.
Gotcha.
And also, to be honest, the people weren't all amazing. I just realized it wasn't my world. I feel much more comfortable in the sports world.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's about, there's nothing wrong with trying something and then pivoting if it doesn't work, but it's good to to have enough intuition to know when that is a dead end
Yeah.
and go somewhere else.
But there's a self-awareness piece there, Rachel, which I think comes from a deep understanding of knowing who you are and what you're about and what you will do and what you won't do.
Yeah.
And it also gets to the point I find with, finding out who's who in the zoo, for lack of a better word, but also following those opportunities to the point of going, I want to be able to do this, and doing it in a way that's ethical and also
100%.
beneficial, either for yourself or for the other partner.
Yeah.
And I think you can bump heads along the way, but it's being self-aware enough to know no more. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I am naturally, I like having conversations with people. So maybe it's easier for me than some to create these relationships. But all I would say is do it in a very genuine way.
Yeah.
Don't only talk to people because you think you can get something out of them. Gotcha. That's quite gross.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it's about just talking to people who are doing it and then making a plan for yourself. I was actually, the podcast you mentioned before, I was chatting about how somebody could get into sports photography, and I said, start with that low-hanging fruit. And the best example I can think of that, because it's really, there's lots of different things go into making a really great photo, but access is, when you're starting, one of the hardest things. You don't have instant access to these athletes. Crankworks, for example, you can turn up as a spectator with your camera. You can be 1 meter away from where I'm shooting with a full,
Yep.
I have full access. Whereas 1 meter, you walk in, you got your camera, you have the same access to that photo I have, essentially. So start with that low-hanging fruit and then sort of just work your way up. Start talking to people, talk to the athletes. They are just...
This is great advice, because I'm listening to you, and I'm down my path. So I really appreciate you sharing this, Rachel. I really do.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, I hope it helps somebody to me.
It's helping me already.
Yeah. I think people get scared of maybe speaking to athletes because they can be intimidating, but they're actually really
human beings.
Nice. They're really nice people. And some of them, they're shy themselves, and that might come across as being a bit egotistical, but mostly they're just doing their thing.
I've got a question later that I'm going to ask you about that, but I appreciate that, because I think one of the things that's held me back, there's a few reasons, but one of them has been just fear, just stuck in my own head of not being able to ask those questions. But also the business side of things, I never really learned that. I never really learned the business side of things, other than I'm very good with a camera and I can obviously point it and I can work with it. But the business side, I never even considered until much later on. And now I'm sitting in a situation going, I don't want to work for somebody else. I don't want to go and get a job. I want to follow. I love taking photos and I love filming and I love documentary and longer form kind of documentary. It's where my wheelhouse is. I love talking to people and finding out what's happening underneath the surface and telling that story. So that's up to me. So listening to you saying, just do it in a genuine way is a reaffirmation for me to be able to just go for it. Just ask that person. And if it comes across genuine, it'll be met with the same kind of energy and same kind of respect. Riding bikes, Rachel. Tell me about that journey, because a lot of your, obviously you love riding bikes. Tell me about riding bikes. I'm a cyclist. I have ridden all my life, probably since I think I rode a bike before I could walk. And I've been through it also. I was a road cyclist back in South Africa. I raced professionally for a while, and then I got into mountain biking, which I absolutely loved. And then my friend sort of went down the downhill route, and I went in the cross-country route because I was just like a mountain goat, and I loved that.
Machine.
And I've got into gravel bike riding now, because that's, for me, is the best of both worlds. And I ride a gravel bike, which is made from a very good friend of mine, James, overseas from Craft Bikes. And I absolutely freaking love it. I can't, in fact, I think I want to go ride. It's such a beautiful day today. It's a brilliant day for it. Tell us about riding bikes. How did you get into it, and what do you love about it? And
So I grew up in a surfing family. I can still remember when I was 17, my first boyfriend, he took me to the lake, and I was like, what are we doing here? Like, people go to the lake on a weekend,
right?
And they drive in boats and stuff. And honestly, my whole life had revolved around beach.
Yes.
Every holiday, everywhere we lived. So I have a surfing family. That's all that existed for me growing up. And then I actually do remember my dad took me to the redwoods when I was young. and he took me straight up a hill, which I did not appreciate.
Of course.
So that kind of wrote bikes off for me early.
Yes, yes.
And my best friend, Petey, when we were, I don't even know how long ago. It's probably like 17 years ago. He took me where was my first ride? I'm pretty sure it was out west in Auckland.
Okay.
He took me on one ride and I was like, this is awesome. And then the next day I probably went to like Evo Cycles or something. And I ticked up a bike. It was like a giant comp. It was this old heavy downhill bike. I could barely lift it.
Gate.
It was so, so heavy. But it was so much fun. And back then we used to ride with this bunch from out west, and I'd go over and we'd do shuttles out west, and then we would do like a monthly Redwoods shuttle. And it was just so much fun. But I kind of pulled back a little bit when I was shooting weddings, because I would tell myself, if I crash, I can't shoot with broken arms.
It's a reality, isn't it?
It is, but in saying that, like, you just can't think like that.
No, you can't.
Even as the single income earner for my household, you know, it all does fall on me for my kids.
Sure.
So I should think about that. But in saying that, I feel like I could shoot a wedding with a broken arm. It would be okay.
I would not surprise me if you rock up with your arm.
Yeah, I mean, two arms would not be ideal.
No.
A leg, totally not ideal.
No.
But
But at the same time, you're not doing hectic, like mad stuff. Or
no,
are you?
No, I mean, I shoot on my bike.
Your bike, yes.
I mean, I'm definitely risking my body. I ride out. I have a really amazing group of friends that we ride with, and most of the time I'm on the like outside, just past my skill level, which I like. That's kind of where I like to sit. But I do try and be somewhat sensible, because at the end of the day, I'm still a mum, and I also still have to work because no one else is going to pay my bills.
Look, it's an age-related thing for me. I've also got to be very careful about what I do, because it takes longer to heal.
We don't bounce like we used to.
No, we don't, even though we think we do. Rachel, how important is a support group around you, and having those friends that are not necessarily even in the same world as you in terms of being photographers and that, but they're just friends that are a support network to help you through the daily grind? Because I'm sure not every day is like, yes, I'm going to go up and I'm going to take the most amazing photos. Some days it's like, oh my Lord, how am I going to get through today?
Yeah.
How important is that?
I mean, it's kind of everything. I'm very, very lucky that I've always had really great parents, and I think not everyone has that. So I'm so lucky that they've always backed me. Everyone around me is great. They all do amazing things themselves, which I think is, I think just you do sort of, this is like obvious, but you kind of become an accumulation of those people around you. So if you're around people that are positive and they're doing good things in their own genre and in their own sort of industry, it does rub off on you. And I mean, I'm 14 years deep, and I still Google things. I still ask ChatGPT multiple questions per day. I still have the same group of photographer friends I can call on that I've had for 14 years if I've got a pricing problem. So I mean, that is everything. You know, the people around you, they give you the confidence, or sometimes they need to be close enough that they can also tell you your ideas are a bit stupid and maybe you should like discard that one. Put that back in the pen, or just like push it out the gate. But yeah, I think, I'd be lost without my friends there. Yeah, amazing.
Well, you're very fortunate.
I am.
You've, like you say, you have curate those people around you. The Has project for Red Bull. An all-women's mountain bike film. How did that come about, and what was the hardest day on the shoot that nobody actually saw?
So I was very lucky. That was my first call up for Red Bull. There's a bunch of guys, Hunt Cinema, you are probably familiar. They put my name forward, which I'm forever grateful for. I pretty much got my in being a female for that first job, which I'm sure some people don't love, but whatever, got to take your wins when you can.
Yeah, absolutely. The haters are going to hate, eh?
Yeah, so that was, that is right up my alley as far as I love the female-led projects. the hunt guys are unreal. We're working with Remy, who's like an amazing trail builder. Everything about that project was just spot on. As far as like challenges on the project, that was actually the first time I'd shot stills on a video project. So for me, it was about learning. I wasn't in charge, so I was sort of I was just documenting what was happening, which I quite liked, and I would like to do a lot more of. But I think the challenges were like we're dealing with the normal stuff like weather. There's lots of people, lots of things have to come together to make that happen. I was also flying in. I think I can't remember. This was a few years back, but I think I may have done 7 or 8 days on that project, and that's me flying in for 2 or 3 days at a time. So there was a lot of pressure on me because like I was wary of the budget of me just physically being there. So yeah, there was a lot of pressure. It was, of course, my first job for Red Bull.
Yep.
Like everything was weighing on that one. Bearing in mind, I've been shooting bikes for probably 6 months at this point.
Did it change the way you shot? With feeling that added pressure, knowing that it was for Red Bull?
Probably not. Probably not.
Not.
But it just, I mean, I'm always quite hard on myself.
Sure.
So I'm always making sure I'm working really hard to deliver. I think the fact that I'm not ever really stoked with my work probably makes me work harder, therefore getting a better result.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a curse for
100%.
us creators because it's never perfect.
No.
And the push is always there to go, how can I make this better? How can I do this? Even though you know you've got a great shot.
But sometimes I'll get a shot. I'm like, I love this. Yeah. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, I hate this. I could have done this different. And
okay.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Look, you've co-founded Depth of Field because you kept noticing that you were the only woman behind the lens. What's the specific moment or the actual or the shoot that you were on where that feeling became impossible to kind of ignore, where you knew that this had to come about? And please tell us about Depth of Field as well for the audience who don't know about it.
Yeah. So firstly, I'm fairly comfortable in a male environment, and that comes back to probably my surfing background.
Sure.
And also when I did this thing in high school called Surf Academy. By the end of the first term, I was the first female. So I spent a year with these dudes who, if you can imagine, like young,
dudes,
egotistical athletes.
Yeah.
It was a lot. Some of them are still my friends to this day. Some are not.
Some are not, sure.
But like I'm comfortable in that environment. That doesn't bother me. My 2 best friends are guys. It's easy for me. And so for me to show up at an event where there might be 1 or 2 female photographers, it doesn't really bother me. I'd be more nervous that I'm underqualified as opposed to the only female. But I do know that for a lot of other females, that is quite an intimidating environment. So Hales, who is the co-founder.
Yep. Hattie Ashby, yep.
Yeah, so she's amazing. She was around in the early days of sort of ski, snow and skate in New Zealand. She did lots of work with magazines, competitions, all sorts. So she's a wealth of knowledge. She's amazing. And she's also the opposite personality for me, which is why we work so well together.
Okay.
Anyway, so we would always debrief after these big events, and we wanted to create a space for females to come together and create that community that is really hard to find when you are in such a niche. And it's not to say you can't have that with the guys, and we totally do.
Yeah, it's not a separatist club. It's not an us and them thing at all. It's
No.
just a space that you are, a container that you are creating.
Yeah, but
or have created.
But there is something quite special when a bunch of girls get in a room and they get a bit silly and they have a bit of fun. But yeah, so Depth of Field, we had our first event last year, which was supported by Sony, which is amazing. And we had no idea if there was even a market for this in New Zealand. Like I said, I'll turn up at an event, there may be 1, there may be 2, or I might be the only female.
Yep.
And a lot of the time, those females are also from overseas. So we're like, is there even girls in New Zealand that want to shoot action? And turns out there is. We had 26.
Yeah.
It was amazing. We had girls from heaps of snow, heaps of outdoor sort of photographers, so like hiking, running. And then this year, we're opening it up to everyone in the outdoor media space. So
Wow,
that could be
Yep.
ladies that run marketing for brands in the outdoors, writers,
So not just
not just
photographers.
photographers or videographers.
The actual genre of being outdoors. Yep.
So
okay.
we're trying to keep that small special feel, but we're trying to incorporate more females because the goal of this event is to create a network for these girls. So when they do have that, you know, hey, what do I charge for this? Or hey, I've got this job coming up. I need like another videographer. Or I need this. I need that. We want to help create that. And like the main motivation for me is that I didn't realize how much I loved all the like lady stuff. Like it's so fun. That's the kind of work that makes me really excited to get out of bed in the morning. So I just want to, for me, that just gives me the deepest level of satisfaction.
You've been in the game a long time, 14 years in, and you've created depth of field. It's an interesting question because you're giving back to the community that you didn't necessarily have when you were coming up because you were in that kind of like the guys group. So if your 8-year-old self had that kind of community, do you think you would have had a different path or
I mean, maybe. I think.
Would you have done it sooner?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't look back too much.
No. Okay.
I do think that having the community around you will for sure progress you faster than
be by yourself. Yeah.
And I think to be fair,
I'm learning that.
Yeah, and to be fair, that could be guys and girls. It doesn't have to
be an us or them thing at all.
Yeah. So I think the community is essential regardless of the gender.
Okay. You're shooting Crankworks, you're shooting Red Bull films, weddings. I mean, how do you actually make it all work? And Rach, what's the version of you that people don't see on Instagram because you're a mom and you're working, and it's like you say, it's on you to bring the bread and butter home. What's the version that we don't necessarily see?
I mean, lots. Instagram is definitely just a highlight.
The highlights reel, eh? Yeah.
I'm very deliberate with not putting my family too much on Instagram. Okay. Especially my youngest Joy, she's 8. She wants to be on my Instagram because she's a little performer, but she doesn't need to be. So I don't put a lot of my family stuff on there. I try and be as real as possible. Half the reason I stopped shooting fashion is because it made me feel a little bit sick that I was sort of contributing to that real, that false standard that girls and guys feel like they have to live up to.
It's crazy, eh?
Yeah, so
it's crazy.
I try and be as real as possible on the internet, but let's be honest, like it is what it is. I guess the side of me people don't see is there's a lot of like late nights on the couch working. There's a lot of stuff that isn't that exciting, but of course you're not going to
it's part of the course. You're not going to actually frame that or document that necessarily because it does give it a different kind of flavor to it. But it's the reality, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is the reality.
I mean, to be fair, when I'm riding my bike, I never want to stop and take photos. So I probably don't document that.
I'm the same. I mean, I take my camera with and I sometimes film myself or take a photo, but like I just want to ride.
Oh yeah, I don't. If I'm having actual like full flow fun, like I never stop for that.
The closest thing to feel like flying.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
You describe your style as making people feel like that there's no camera there, but at something, you mentioned it earlier with access to these athletes, as something like Crankworks or a Red Bull shoot, the athletes know exactly where you are. They know that you are taking photos of them. How does that philosophy translate to those athletes performing or not performing? Because they know where you are. Because they also know the benefit of you taking a great shot of them is.
I mean, what I'd say to that is, firstly, at any sort of event of that caliber, there's like a bunch of great photographers there.
Sure.
And they don't necessarily always know unless you have that conversation of, I'm going to be under that hip. What do you do? Like, the best way to get the results is, stay with your ear to the ground so that you know what they're going to do, you know where to stand. Sometimes you fluke it.
Sure.
But I think the result comes from being aware of what's happening. In regards to like, how does that affect them? I honestly don't think they think about it too much. I think they're probably feeling their own set of nerves about what they're doing, because a lot of them are just putting everything on the line.
Sure.
So I think, I mean, for them, of course, it's important, but I actually think I'm probably very low on the consideration scale for them.
Has it ever happened where you've taken, where you've taken a shot of someone doing something amazing where you've had like I just said, Rach, that's incredible. Thank you very much. Please, I need you to be at the next event or anything like that. So the relationship gets built up.
I mean, for sure, I've got great relationships with a few of the riders and brands, especially. Usually when I'm at an event, it's because I'm paid by the event. But like, for example, Rampage, I'm there as a full freelancer. So I could work for an athlete or a brand. But yeah, for sure. I mean, some people, I think athletes, like, they value photos, but I think algorithm loves video at the moment.
Yeah.
So that is more a priority for most people. And also from the athlete's perspective, they're trying to worry about getting their funding. You know, they have to physically fly and get themselves to these events. Paying a photographer is totally not for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So my access is generally due to the brands having me there.
I'm with you. So that's what gets you on the ground.
Yeah, but I guess you could say that the brand might see my work and want that for them. My work is different in the sense that I'm probably more people focused than a lot of the guys maybe. I don't know, like, it's really hard being objective about your own work. People say they can recognize my work from others. The action stuff, I don't know. Like, to me, I still feel like that's an area I could be much stronger at, but I'm obviously working on it.
So you say you know, like you say, you're quite new. You feel like you're a baby in the sports photography world. What would you ideally like to do, or can you see where your passion is taking you specifically in that genre?
Yeah, I've worked out, like, I've just had the busiest season I've ever had. I've barely ridden my bike in 6 months, which is the biggest shame, because that's why I like bikes. I think I'm at a point where I want to shoot bikes, but I want to be working in an environment where I'm working with a really good team. NST, so Natural Selection Bikes, for me is that. I feel like I'm part of a team. That's the kind of environment I want to spend more time in. I do want to expand that and maybe do some other sort of like adjacent sports. But I love the community building stuff I do for Sony. I love all that stuff. But I also, I'm 40 now. I don't think I'll be shooting weddings in 10 years' time. I can't see that being a thing.
All right.
Who knows? But I do have some other things in the kind of pipeline. I work quite closely with Valduro, which is the brand I ride for.
Yes.
There's maybe some stuff there I might be doing.
So tell us more about that, because that's a new brand that's come on the scene, and you've come on board as creative director now. Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about that, because that's an exciting space to work in.
Yeah, so this is just another opportunity that just sort of fell in my lap. So Valduro there's two guys in New Zealand. They designed the bike, and we've partnered with a team in China who have a frame factory. So we're also very new. The bike has been available for a year. They've just released their second iteration of the bike. And it is actually unreal. So I was brought on early I've never been part of a startup before, so it was a very interesting experience. It's kind of like there's no framework for what we're doing. We're
it's new.
Essentially making it up as we went along. Like, my daughter and I did the brand guidelines. She's a designer. She's amazing, by the way.
Yeah. Shout out to her.
Yeah. Yep. So I was doing stuff outside of the scope of my normal work, but I really enjoyed that process, and just to watch this brand grow. Yeah. And it's been insane. I never read the comments. Like, I went on Reddit the other day to read about, somebody said, you need to read this. And it was something quite different. But I found this comment where somebody asked, what's the deal with Valduro? And this random person who has nothing to do with the brand was saying, it's this new brand from New Zealand. From all the reports, it sounds like it's really solid, amazing build, and the people who ride it are almost evangelical. And I'm like, wow, like, we kind of did that. And that is been the craziest thing to be a part of, because at the start, like, I was a little bit nervous getting involved with this small brand.
sure.
I'm like, what if it's shit?
Yeah, okay.
You know, and luckily it's not.
Yeah. No, luckily it's not. But I also think you need to give yourself credit where credit's due in terms of, yes, I hear what you're saying, that the product could have been shit, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
There's Kiwi in, after all.
Of course.
But the work that you put into it has also elevated that brand to something which you get those kind of comments. So kudos to yourself for actually saying, this is what I do, and I can lift it, I can elevate this to something and get it out in front of people. Because often I find is what happens is there's a lot of brands out there that are brilliant, but they have a not known problem.
Yeah.
So you've been able to elevate that brand and get it out there through the network and through your hard work.
Yeah. We've still got so much aspirations for that brand, and everything has been done on an absolute shoestring.
Sure.
But I feel like we have done a good job of sort of putting our Kiwi IQ on it, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
ID, I guess.
Well, I wish you well. I mean, I look forward to what's next.
Yeah.
And I like to
exciting.
ride one, by the way. Just going to put that out there.
We can arrange that.
Good. I love that. Okay. We're going to slowly start because there's so much, but I'm going to slowly land this plane. What's something that you believed about what makes a great photographer like 5 years ago that you've kind of dismissed and forgotten about now, that has changed your perspective on photography, right?
As in something that was important 5 years ago?
Yeah, absolutely.
That is a very good question.
I'll share something for me, because I got into photography much later. I'm a videographer or a cinematographer first.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that I had to kind of like get my head around was the splitting of my brain when it comes to taking a static image versus a moving image, which is 25 frames a second or 50 frames a second or now whatever the latest slow-mo thing is. But it was really, really, really difficult for me to be able to marry that two. And in the beginning of my career, someone said to me, you're either going to be a cinematographer or a photographer. That has subsequently changed based on the nature of social media and the fact that you actually need to know both. So when a client comes to me and says, I need you to take photos and video, I'm like, cool, but please understand that I need to split my brain, and it's a separate way of thinking and a separate way of actually doing something. So for you, has there been something in the last 5 years that you've kind of like relearned or discarded?
I mean, I feel like my whole career has just, everything's evolving every 5 seconds. Okay. I think just the way people promote themselves from back in the day. Back in the day, it was all about a website and business cards and networking and clubs, camera clubs and rah. And all those things have a place. Maybe not business cards, but whereas I guess now a presence online is really important. Okay.
This is great advice, because I'm listening to what you were saying here.
I still think those in-person relationships are core. However, it has to come alongside when you meet somebody in person and then they stalk you online. If they don't like what they see, they disregard. You could be a fantastic photographer, but if you don't look fantastic online, you might miss that opportunity. Okay. So I think maybe the way we promote ourselves has definitely changed. And to speak to what you just mentioned about being a hybrid photographer, videographer, there is for sure lots of clients want bang for buck. They want everything from one person. Budgets have shrunk.
Well, that's another discussion, but...
Yeah, I think there's a really huge market for people who can do both. Shah, my daughter, she can shoot both really well. Yep. I can't. I like to stay in my lane. I like to really focus on what I want to just get really good at my craft. I don't want to spread myself too thin. Although I do have aspirations for down the track being a documentary filmmaker, but that's another conversation.
Well, you've said it, yeah. You've said it, yeah.
Bit of time. But yeah, so I think how you exist in this world, you're more of a content creator now.
Yeah, true.
I don't love all of that, but that is how it is.
And I don't like that word, but you're right. I mean,
it's a bit
but you can still get good at your craft.
You can, and I don't. For example, what performs well on Instagram is very different to what I consider good work. Yeah. And you may have seen my post last night.
It's so funny. I was going to literally just bring that up with the two different posts where
Yeah, so
it's ironic, isn't it?
yeah. Oh, there's a spider.
He's just a mate.
Yeah, it's just a small one.
Come here, buddy.
I posted something I love. Like I really liked
Yeah.
that shot I posted, and it didn't even get 100 likes. Whereas a random photo of me in a hoodie and baggy pants and just holding my camera from the side has 9,000 and some crazy amount of engagement. So it just goes to show that what is popular on the internet is not necessarily what A client wants, or what B is what work really makes you happy to create it. So I guess that's just the internet. It's just
the internet.
it's just rubbish.
It's
just
a
a trash can for,
yeah,
you know.
necessary evil.
Yeah.
Rach, what can people look forward to in the next couple of months? What have you got planned? Any projects that you want to mention?
Well, Depth of Field is my most important project, and that's in September in Queenstown.
Okay.
If you want to learn more about that.
I'll put it on.
Yep.
I'll put it in the show notes. No problem.
And then I have a really amazing year booked with work and just actual personal stuff I wanted to do.
Yep.
I've been quite reserved in the past 5 years. I'll only travel for work. I don't take time for myself. Everything had to be very work centric. Whereas this year I decided I want to shoot Rampage. I'm just going to go. So I booked tickets, all off my own back. I don't have a client yet. I'm not too worried. I'm sure something will come about.
You're following the process. You're following it.
Yeah. So I've sort of decided that I wanted to focus more on my high paying commercial and then be very selective with bikes, do the stuff I really want to do. So hopefully there's some lovely Rampage photos we can look forward to.
I'm sure there will be. There will be.
It's going to be fun.
It is going to be
way.
fun. I'm very envious, actually, and good luck with that. All the best with it. Okay. Rach, is there anything that I haven't asked you? There will be a part 2, I'm sure, down the line. But is there anything that I haven't asked you? Or there's an ask of the audience at the moment where you're at this stage. What would that ask be? Or what would you want to say that I haven't asked you?
Honestly, I don't know. I think for me and my work, it's just this ever evolving thing. And I'm quite excited for where it might go. I don't know where that is. I think that's the exciting thing about life. You get to sort of make of it what you will. So yeah. You can ask me in the comment section if you have a question.
I'll ask you in the comment section. Rachel Hadfield, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your sharing and your time this morning and your honesty. And I look forward to seeing what comes down the road, and watch this space, because you've inspired me to actually just get off my ass and actually get out there and do what I want to do as well. So I really appreciate this. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Can I ask you a question?